Good morning, good morning, good morning. You are tuning in to Journeys and Ambitions. I'm Abigail, aka Ambitions. Journeys is still making her way in. She'll be here soon. She's actually joining from another room, so you'll see a whole new part of our home. Don't get in my business though. We are joined today by the lovely, the wonderful, beautiful Miss Stephanie Burrow. Would you like to introduce yourself today, ma'am?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I feel like this is going to be such a good conversation. My name is Stephanie. I am a licensed mental health therapist, an author, a lover of people, and one of Abby's friends.
Yes. We're besties. Like we work together, but she is one of my besties for real.
Aww.
Stephanie is the highlight of everything I do with radio. Brings so much good energy. I love that you're like so personable, but like you're also very serious. Like you are like the perfect balance of like silly and serious. You know what I'm saying? And I think I struggle sometimes to be serious. So I think
you need a balance, but I feel like you're doing a good job because I feel like today you're thriving.
Thank
and
you.
that says a lot, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like you kind of invented demure. I mean, yeah, the girl on TikTok like made it trendy, but I feel like you're demure.
Because it's literally who I've been since I was pushed out of the birth canal.
Yeah, it's running in your veins.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So my Dana is demure.
Did you say you're Dana?
My DNA is demure.
I love that. No, same. No, I'm that girl, very demure. Yes, I feel like Stephanie always eggs me on. I could be doing the most, and you're gonna be the person that's like hyping me up, and I love that. I love that about you.
All gas, no brakes.
We were actually talking before the show because Stephanie is a mental health therapist, professional. She knows all things mental health, every single thing. She's all knowing. She knows everything.
It's a lot of pressure.
So we were talking, and if you tuned into our show last week, you'll know, or I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't remember. Was talking about how my therapist told me to act docile. That's actually insanity. Hold on, Jennifer's joining in, so she'll be here in just a second. I think she's still figuring out her camera. So if you guys need mental health services, please reach out to Arabella Counseling. Do you want to give them the plug for that?
So you can give us a call at 832-919-8363, or you can visit our website, www.arabellacounts, COUNS, abbreviation for counseling.com, or you can send us an email at info@arabellacounts.com.
Get all your therapy needs from her. I'm about to make the switch. So, I think I really vouch for Miss Stephanie over here.
Oh, you're so sweet, Abby. Sometimes you do need to, find a new therapist. I had different seasons of my life. Mm-hmm. I need a different therapist sometimes.
Yeah, you need like a different perspective, a different point of view. Because at the end of the day, I feel like therapists are still like human. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like no amount of like studying or knowing exactly what to do will make a human perfect. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely think there's somebody out there for everybody in relationships and in your therapist and your medical needs.
Absolutely. And tend to them.
And yes, so today we're going to introduce a new segment. We want to try to get guests on every month. So you're going to be our first one of the series, Paths and Passions. So if you didn't get it, it's Journeys and Ambitions.
Yeah.
Journeys and Paths, Ambitions, Passions. Do you get it? It?
I got it. I caught on immediately.
I'm glad you got it. And comment in the comments if you also got it, or if you needed me to explain it to you. And it's okay if you needed an explanation, because everybody needs a little, education sometimes.
Sometimes it's necessary.
So we wanted to talk today, just kind of your idea of like your path in life, because like I said, you're definitely someone that I know a little bit about you. You know what I'm saying? I know some things that you've like done in life. I know what you do professionally, and kind of what you thought your path would be when you were younger versus what it's become now.
Oh, okay.
And do you think that aligns with your passions?
Ooh, so fantastic question. So a little bit about me, just like really quick synopsis on my background. Grew up
Hmm.
in Michigan. Sometimes I'll hold up like this hand because it's shaped like a mitten. But then if people have never seen a map of the United States of America, then they don't know that Michigan is shaped like a mitten. So then they're like, well, what is she doing? Because I'm like, I'm from this part of Michigan.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
So I'm from Michigan, the mitten. I grew
Mhm.
up in a great household. I have 4 other siblings. Initially, as a kid, I actually wanted to be a judge. And then as I got like a little bit older, I wanted to be a meteorologist.
Ooh.
I just feel like I would be so good, like to just holding like a pole in the
Yeah.
middle of like a hurricane. The wind is blowing and it is just like dragging. I'm like, stay in the house if you can. We have downpours. I feel like I would just thrive in that setting.
Yeah, like chaos.
Chaos. I
Yeah.
just have to maintain my clarity when things are chaotic. It's a strength. It's my superpower. So I
Yeah.
said, what other place to utilize that gift than to be a meteorologist? And then when I was a junior in high school, one night I was at my parents' home. So, just a little bit more context for the story. My dad is a pastor. So, we lived in what's called the parsonage. It's the house right next door to the church. So
Oh, okay.
literally, we walked back and forth 12 steps. You're in the church, you're in the house, like very close. But our backyard is like the size of a football field. It's almost 100 yards
Oh, wow.
because that's where people park and we have
Yeah.
a basketball hoop. But we lived in a fairly good area, never had any crime, a lot of, incidents.
Hmm.
One night, this was back when you had, I think it was a sidekick where you would like, this was the phone that I had, the sidekick where you pull up and then it has like a whole keep.
Yes, I wanted one so bad.
Oh my gosh, you didn't get one?
No, I had one. It was like it slid up to do like the regular texting, but it
Ooh.
also slid to the side. So it would also do like the side texting, but I thought the sidekick was so cool. I thought it was so cool.
It was cool. I felt like, one of the popular kids for a second.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm on my sidekick. This is at maybe like 8 o'clock at night. Hi.
Can we hear you? Here, let me unmute you, Mom. Oh, you have to unmute yourself. It's okay, Stephanie. You can keep going.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
We're trying a new setup today.
I can't hear me.
That's okay. We can hear you.
We can hear you. Good morning. You look so pretty.
Y'all, if I ever get my shit together, it is over for everybody else. Over.
It's over for you, hoes.
It's over for you.
OVER, okay?
Okay, so you were saying, Stephanie, about the sidekick.
Okay, yes. So I decided I wanted to go outside, just play around, shoot some hoops, and like text on my little sidekick, text my friends. It was maybe like 8:30 at night. Again, I live in a relatively nice area. There isn't a high rate of crime. So I go outside, which is not out of the ordinary. I put on my brother's shoes, size 12. I go outside. I'm just shooting hoops in the backyard. And then I sit on the ground to text my friend and I have my headphones in. And the moment I sit down on the ground, I hear a very stern voice in my head say, take out your headphones. And like, I'd never heard this voice as stern as it was. So
Yeah.
the moment I take my headphones out, I hear like chains behind me. I turn around. There's a gentleman. He is jumping over the fence. Has on a ski mask. He has on like an all black tracksuit. He has the largest knife that I have ever seen in his hand. And he has chains around his waist. And he starts charging at me. And he is using racial slurs and combinations of profanity that to date I have still never heard. I jump up and I start running and I'm screaming for my life for someone to like help me. Again, my parents' backyard is the length of a football field. So it is a distance to get back to the front door. I'm running and I am screaming. Nobody's coming outside. The dogs start barking because I am loud. And I can feel like, when I still talk about it, I can feel like the air from the knife, him swinging the knife behind me on the back of my neck. And I'm thinking like, I'm going to cut through the trees. And then he cuts through the trees. And I'm like, I'm going to cut through my parents' cars. And he cuts through my parents' cars. And then there was like 7 wooden stairs at our front door. And I was thinking to myself, right, my fight or flight kicks in. And it's like, you have to jump all of these stairs in order to get back to the front door so he doesn't grab you. So I jump all the stairs, face plant, bleeding profusely, do not notice it. I start banging on the door. My mom comes to the door. She's like, what is going on? And the police come, they do this detailed search. They never find this guy. And so from there on, my life was riddled with anxiety. I'd never dealt with anxiety before. Very bubbly, outgoing, I would say gregarious individual. And I was extrovert, extreme extrovert. That was all changed. From that moment forward, that changed.
You said you were 12 or 14?
I was in the 11th grade. So I think I was maybe,
Oh, so you were older. Okay.
yeah, about 16, 17, going on 17 maybe.
Okay.
And so I had a friend tell me I was scared to go outside. I was scared to do absolutely anything. I made my parents take me to school moving forward. And then I had a friend tell me, maybe you should try therapy. And I was like, I don't need therapy. She's like, no, I think you do. And I think you should try it. Long story short, I started therapy. Therapy worked. And then that is what changed my career choice.
Yeah.
I went from wanting to be a meteorologist because it worked so well that I had this sense of purpose and conviction for the profession that ultimately led me to going back to school to become a therapist. But it was all rooted in a very traumatic situation that had happened where if it hadn't been for therapy, I would have never grasped a hold of my life again and been able to become the person that I was.
Oh my goodness. I never knew that happened to you. That's crazy.
It's just crazy.
And you have written a book. Have you written a book about that?
So I've never written a book about that, but the books that I have, the one is just a devotional, but it is about healing and, healing from trauma and different situations. So it kind of ties in.
And please talk about your coloring book too.
Oh yeah.
I've told numerous people about this. It's in my cart, by the way. It's in my Amazon cart. I've not purchased it because someone in my space, not in the same room as me right now, had told me that they were going to purchase it for me.
Don't you have a birthday coming up, Jennifer?
I do.
Yeah.
I just was told this a while ago.
Right. Because who knew you had to wait for your birthday to get the gift?
And little did I know that I would have a lot of free coloring time here recently. So. Anyway, I'm just saying, please talk about it because I have already hyped it up. So I would love for you to hype it up as well.
Listen, all gas, no brakes. We love this coloring book. So this is my little coloring book. I needed another outlet that was not device related. I needed a device detox. And so I started coloring. And then I decided, well, I'm going to make a coloring book specifically for mental health related issues. So this coloring helps with anxiety relief, stress relief. It helps if you have ADHD with concentration. It helps with trauma. Like if you struggle with PTSD, it gives you something that you can control in a safe environment that you can do. It really just helps with overall well-being. And so it has 100 different quotes in there that you can meditate on as you color. If I just flip to something random, it says, as you shift, so will your friendships. And we all know that is the truth. So you can grab it on Amazon.
Yeah,
I think we talked about that last week.
A
little bit. We touched on the friendship, or maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit. The whole what's for you won't pass you by kind of
right
deal, and how that changes. Let me not try to talk too fast today. Yeah. I should move slowly.
Sloth. Embrace your sloth.
I have been under the weather, and little Miss what do you call it? Booked and ready or booked and busy is like, please keep your germs away from me. So that is why we are still actually in the same house. I've just been confined to my room.
Yeah.
She won't let me out, y'all.
That's true.
Oh, you don't look sick. You look beautiful though. So that is
thank you, girl. Makeup does wonders. And I haven't worn it all week, so she's probably a little shocked how I look too.
No.
So like, oh girl, you look okay.
I did want to say too, so the whole concept of journeys and ambitions is to kind of talk about life from the perspective of someone who's Gen Z and Gen X. And we have a millennial on today.
I was actually going to say, I was going to start out, had I been on time, that you don't ever ask a woman her age, but I was pretty sure that Stephanie would fall in the millennial category, which is a broad range.
Yeah.
So it's good. Well, we always like full representation in the house.
That's right. Especially because I do dog on millennials a lot. Yeah.
She does.
Unfortunately.
And I love Gen Z. I love Gen Z. I love Gen Alpha. I feel like they're going to change the world. And not you're like, you're not our friend. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say too about the story that you told Stephanie too. So you said that happened when you were about 16, 17. You had a little sidekick, but this is before obviously like smartphones and all that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I also, when I think about it from like a generational perspective, and like you said that really changed like your path, right? I think nowadays, if something like that happened to somebody, they would make a TikTok that would go viral, and then their path would be influencing or something like that, which I'm not, if you can make money doing it, that's your business. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to knock on anybody's profession, but it is just kind of like, and even in like my mom's generation, there was no phones at all. Like, and I always say, like, when it comes to
we had
things,
phones. We didn't have cell phones.
well, you know what I mean.
Don't make me that old.
You know what I mean? But they say a lot of things these days are like, oh, the world's just so much scarier these days. More things are happening. I just think it's more people talking. Like, it's just easier to find that information. I don't think the world is any less safe than it was. I think people just know more about it. Like,
we had that. I think we had that conversation once, and I had seen it. I don't know. I read it, saw it on TV. I don't even remember where I got the information, but talking about violent crimes and, oh, there's so much more crime. Well, the population's bigger, but like, according to whatever I saw or read, in ratio, right, to the change of population, it's not more. It's just our immediate knowledge base, like our immediate, news era, right? So like back in the day in California, we didn't know what was going on in New York. Nor did we care, right? So it's just that now we know about the crimes, and not only do we know them, we know about them immediately, right?
Absolutely.
So, but it's like it's I don't know. I don't even know if that's positive or negative, right? Like, in one sense, it makes you more aware maybe of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Or does it like make us live in fear more? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I said, in my age, talk about Gen Xers, and we drank out of garden hoses. I mean, our parents kicked us out of the house. Like, go outside and play. They didn't know where we were, nor did they care or check.
100%.
And I used to feel neglected until I realized our whole generation are saying the same thing.
Even for me, we would leave. We would leave. We would have to check in at some point. I would be 10 miles on foot from home. And my mom, I would have a cell phone, a pager, or anything. And then I would just go back home.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about now, like where I rode my bicycle, like down major streets with lights and cross highway, not highways, but far. One thing I didn't know, I remember like a car going by, and it started raining. That was unfortunate, by the way. It started raining, and like a car went by and fully splashed me from head to toe with water. Rude. But I probably shouldn't have been on that road. But no,
probably.
I just came home wet, like, and no questions asked, like,
nope.
Take your wet clothes off. Okay. Nothing. There was no, and then, so the way we like safeguard our children, and I don't even think I was really that bad with Abigail, but, I don't think I was helicopter mom.
Yeah.
But she could argue. I don't know. I don't think I
think so. No, I don't think so.
But I was very much like tried to instill to make her like make her own educated decisions.
Yeah.
But there definitely was like worst case scenario thinking as a parent, right? Like all the things that could happen,
of course.
God forbid. So like I said, I don't know if it makes us more aware and that's good, or it makes us more paranoid and that's bad.
I mean, they never share with us when a plane lands. They only share with us when the plane
right.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're digesting so much trauma. I mean, it's normal right now to watch someone die on social media. Like, we'll watch the whole plane crash and everybody be like, wow, that's so important. It was literally people in that plane who had families.
We're so desensitized to that.
I was just going to say, or are we desensitized to it at some point as well?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think that we're overindulging in news. And I felt like that since 2020. I remember we would sit and watch the news, and then the number just would go up every second.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I said, for my own sanity, I have to put a strong boundary in between me, social media, the news.
Yeah.
Like, there are days throughout the week where I don't even get on social media, like Wednesday, Thursday. If that post is not scheduled, then it's not going out, because I've noticed that it really does change you.
Yeah.
But it's like a slow change where some people don't even notice it until, like we're saying, you're so desensitized where you can sit and watch someone be murdered.
And you don't even blink an eye. And I think also those people start becoming like, they're not people, they're just numbers, they're just statistics, right? Like, even when you think about like just like what happens in Palestine, or like with COVID, like you said, when tons of people are hurt or, you know, unfortunately are pass away, like you hear those numbers, and, you know, we live in a world where people have millions of followers, and you don't really think about it as that. You like, we can't conceptualize how much that is. So when you hear, you know, 1,000 people passed away due to something, whatever it may be, you're like, okay, well, I have 1,000 followers. You know what I mean? You don't even really like think about it like that, unfortunately. And I think that's kind of been how like phones and stuff. Obviously, I think knowledge is power, and knowing a lot of things and having access to information can be extremely beneficial. But I think it can also, having too much knowledge, you know, I always say I justify everything because I feel like I can see it from all perspectives, because I feel like I've seen everything from my bedroom in my house. Yeah.
Right. Well, we like Guilty, by the way. We love all our crime drama and all this and that.
Oh, love that. True crime.
Yeah, why?
Watch it.
It's so morbid.
I have a friend.
I love it. I'm the proponent of it, but I don't know why I like it so much.
I know, right?
I think it's because I think I'm like a junior detective. I'm moving my laptop because I'm uncomfortable. Sorry, guys. If you wonder what the heck I'm doing. I mean, I'm the proponent of it, and I don't know why I'm so obsessed with it. I just think that, you know what, it's because I think I'm smart.
What's the psychological side of that, Stephanie?
Yeah. Am I crazy?
I know.
I already know.
Well, you think about it though. Some people that investigative nature is a strength, and that could mean that you would, I guess, succeed in a career choice where you would have to be a person who was investigating things and looking for solutions. We need people like that. I think it does kind of factor into that desensitization when we're able to. I have a friend, she goes to sleep listening to the crime podcast and the murder podcast, but she also fought in the wars and was in Iraq. And so she's seen certain things. And so there is a level of desensitization that is there. I think you just have to be cautious because it costs you whatever you ingest and digest.
Yeah.
It does play a fact. Now, are you a person who has heightened awareness? Now you're out in the grocery store and someone's on the same aisle as you twice, and now you think that they're following you.
Right.
You know, so like, what part of you is that content feeding? I'm not saying that it's wrong, but again, it could be beneficial to have a barrier where, okay, I'm only watching 2 episodes of this. I'm not going to binge this because of the potential effects that it could have on my mental health.
Yeah, I definitely think you are what you consume. So if you can, you know, now I think also we all have a morbid curiosity. I love the Saw movies. I don't think that makes me a psychopath, but maybe, I don't know.
No.
But I do
I've never
do
seen
like,
any of those.
but I'm not going to sit there all day and watch them all back to back, right? Like, it's just kind of like something like, ooh, I want to watch a scary movie. I'm going to go for a Saw movie, you know? So I don't necessarily think, you know, liking things like that makes you a crazy person, but I think over time, like you said, it like, and like we've been saying, it desensitizes you to it. So, you know, I think maybe to the wrong person that can make, like, there's people that idolize, like, I don't even know how we got here, but there's people that idolize like serial killers or things like that, and then want to, like, you know, write them in jail or like be them. And that's where it gets like, okay, you're teetering on psychopathy.
Well, even when I was young, my first jobs out of high school was a bank teller, right? Back when there was not as many like ATMs and all that, right? And we were watching, we didn't even have cable. So it was just a regular unsolved mystery, some kind of show that was on TV. And it was about a bank robbers. And they were kind of showing how they robbed banks. And my stepmom, who also worked at banks, was like, oh, sure, thanks. Like, just put it out there. Put an instruction manual out for all the crazies to learn how to rob. And like, I've never forgotten that, because then later I started watching like Criminal Minds or something. And I'm like, I hope these shows aren't giving, psychopaths some
Could be.
operational procedures. You know what I mean? Some ideas,
Could be.
But there's so much content out there. Like,
you can figure out how to do everything. You want to print some money, you can find out how to do that.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But I do think there's also a of some of the content, even that television producers are putting out. Right after Abby went off to college, I was watching what's the, I don't have it anymore, ID channel, right? That's all the crime stuff.
Yeah.
And I was cleaning or something, so it's kind of just on in the background. And she had literally been off to college for like a week, and I'm barely listening, but I kind of come out and look at the TV because they were talking about like college co-eds, right? But then it seemed to go on for a long time. There was a crime show all about like girls getting murdered in college, like a whole hour show weekly. And I'm like, that's just, thank you. I can never watch this show again. And I'm going to be calling Abby every hour. I mean, like that's a horrible show.
Yeah.
Why would you make a whole show about that?
But they make shows about people being murdered, and they take us through the case.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, you don't want to get to a place where you're paranoid or you're obsessing about things because of something that you've chosen to watch.
Right.
And the thing about your brain is your amygdala, the part of your brain that engages the fight, flight, or freeze. It can't tell whether that's fake or that's real.
Yeah.
So if it's sounding the alarm, for example, this is a good example to give. So when you go into fight or flight, it's because there's a perceived threat. So the alarm sounds, but the alarm doesn't know if it's going off because I'm cooking. I know, where did Abby go?
I don't. Hey, it's just us.
I feel like both of y'all.
Can this still work without her?
I don't know. Bye,
Anyway,
Abby.
I think she got a phone call.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that your amygdala, it's sounding the alarm, but it doesn't decipher whether or not you're back.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, guys. The vet called me, and that's the second time they called me, so I had to answer.
I knew it was I had a feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was literally just saying, when the alarm goes off, it's like your what's it called in the house that it goes off when you're cooking?
The smoke alarm.
It's like the smoke alarm. It doesn't know whether the building is on fire or you're cooking something and it's burning in the pan. It's not deciphering the level of severity. It's saying there's a potential threat. And so you either need to run, or you're going to freeze, or you need to get out of there. So I just feel like when you're watching that stuff, your brain cannot really decipher if that does cause you vicarious trauma from watching someone be murdered. It doesn't know if you're actually in a dangerous situation, or, oh no, you're just watching a television show where you just watch someone be murdered, or you're watching something on TikTok where you watch someone be murdered, but your life is not actually in imminent danger. So you have to be cautious, because those things can trigger things in you that cause your body to be dysregulated.
Yeah. No, I sometimes on Facebook Reels, which I know I sound like an old person when I say that I watch Facebook Reels, but I do. I used to go through the and whatever you watch is going to keep showing it to you. Yes. And so it kept showing me like car crash videos of from the dash cam, either like that car was getting in a car accident or was watching another one. And sometimes they're silly rear end, and then people getting mad. And And you know how Facebook gets you, right? Like it'll watch it. You'll start watching it, and then you find yourself watching 5 minutes of something. And you're like, I don't even remember when I started watching this.
Yes.
And then it would play another one and another one, and I was watching it, and then I found myself getting more like on edge when I was driving in the car, and I drive a lot, and it was like making me way more paranoid. Now I do think people need to be careful when they drive. I've always been kind of a little bit paranoid about like car accidents and stuff like that, but even watching it, there were a couple like times where like something would pop up and it would be a worse some like accident to witness or whatever, and my heart would start beating fast, and it would be like scary, and I'm like, I'm sitting in my bed, I am perfectly safe, but it is like, it's crazy that like your body can have that kind of like response to it. And you know, I started watching this show, it's on Amazon Prime, you've probably heard of it, it's called Them. Have you heard of it? Them. So it's giving us Get Out and like Midsummer and the like psychological aspect of it. So basically it takes place it's like each season's different, kind of like American Horror Story, but they do tie into each other at the end. But I watched the first season, and it was about like the Great Migration from African Americans from the South over to California. And specifically this family was going from, I think, North Carolina to California. And it's kind of depicting like a lot of the racism that they endured. And then it goes into like this psychological, like some things, they have like a curse on them, but it does have like some historical like context to it as well. And they show some scenes in there. And, you know, I've seen a lot of like the classic movies that kind of depict that time and how African Americans were treated, right? And I've seen that stuff. I've seen like, you know, things like that. But this show showed it in a whole different, like, I'm not going to go into detail, but some of the morbid things they show were very morbid. And like, I don't find myself often uncomfortable by TV shows or things like that. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I can watch anything. Nothing scares me. But I was watching it, and it was actively like making my heart beat faster. I was sweating, and like, it was very uncomfortable to watch. And I would consider myself a very desensitized person to any sort of like stuff that you find on TV and stuff like that. So it was really like, it was crazy that I'm like, okay, so now I reached a whole new level of what my brain can endure, but is that a good thing? You know?
Yeah. It's tough too, because you can't always gauge what, I'm sorry, y'all, I feel like my light is drowning me out. So I was trying to like adjust it.
I was moving too.
No, we're all having technical problems today. I'm
like, I don't want to be a ghost on your segment, but here I am ghosted. But you can't gauge, like, you know, sometimes you'll get on social media or you'll do something just to kind of just have a little moment to decompress, but you can't gauge what you're about to see.
Right.
Because the algorithm, like you said, like if you watch a couple crash videos, and it's going to continuously show you crash videos until you
get worse and worse.
Worse and worse and worse. So I think I feel like the moral of the story is to just be cautious, be aware. And when you start to have a physiological reaction, like you're saying, the sweating, your heart is beating faster, you're feeling knots in your stomach, you have a knot in your throat, that means that your body is having a physiological reaction to whatever you're viewing, because your eyes are the gateway to everything.
Yeah.
Then you need to make a different decision and potentially put on something that's more lighthearted.
And you can change. If we kind of started talking about social media, which is fine, we've talked about it before, and I feel like it's often a topic of conversation, especially when you have different generations all together, right? But you can change your algorithm. You can block certain things if you block it enough times, especially on TikTok. You can, I don't know if people know this, you can hold down the video and put that you're not interested. And if you do that a couple times, it'll start to realize, okay, you don't want to watch this anymore. You can block certain individuals. You can mute certain individuals if you don't necessarily want to block them. I had to do that with people that I like knew from high school that
unfollow.
Huh?
You can unfollow without unfriending.
Yeah. Well, I'm not
Depending on what
on
platform you're
Facebook. I'm talking about on Instagram. I had to mute them because I didn't necessarily want to unfollow, because I thought it'd be kind of tea, because I followed like a few people that were involved, and I was like, I'm not like angry. It was just, I was like tired. I found myself like thinking a lot about these people that mean nothing to me. And so I muted them, and now I hardly ever think about them. You know, you just kind of have to distract yourself from those types of things, for sure.
Take care of yourself. You need to do what's necessary to take care of yourself when you are engaging on any of these platforms, Because you think about it, the people who create these platforms, they forbid their children from being on these platforms because of the potential likelihood of the attachment to your device, the attachment to the platform, but also the mental strain that it could potentially have on someone. So take care of yourself. You need boundaries with social media. And I also say that social media is a time thief.
Oh, yeah. My screen time is embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Oh, what is it? Tell me what it is so I can feel better about myself.
Sometimes it goes up to like 13 hours a day.
Well, it's your job too, though.
It's your
job. I'm on my phone for work too, and
isn't that only 8 of the hours?
But
well, the other time
she has stuff playing in the background too.
I will have like things going in the back, and I use like all 3 of my devices at the
I'm
same
such a
time.
mom.
You are. You're like, but
no, it's her job.
Yeah, and obviously I'm not on my phone the whole time at work, but a lot of it is checking social media. Because at first I had time limits on my things, but then I found myself like at work I would constantly just turn it off anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, it's 100% also my fault, because what do I do also during my lunch break? I set up my iPad, I put on a show. I also scroll on TikTok.
Walks around the house. Walks around the house with.
I'm constantly consuming. It's actually really bad. It's so bad. Like I
read
can't.
A book, Abby. Jeez.
I don't read.
Get a coloring book.
Right. Oh, okay. Plug. I like.
I'm a girl's girl.
You are a girl's girl, clearly.
Like I don't know what it's like to experience silence. I really don't.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
But that's genetic. But because of his paths and passions, I had asked Abby actually before the show started, because I know there's a lot. There's what's the word? I'm like careers. Because Abby is actually speaking to someone else who, what they do for a career before they can come on and talk about it on our show, they need permissions, right? So I said before we started, I said,
oh yeah,
can Stephanie talk about her career? Can she talk about, like, is she okay to do, which I knew because I kind of already know you, but I just wanted to, make sure we could go into that, because it seems now that you've told that story, it seems like your path and your passion are one and the same, right? Because what you're doing in your time outside of your career is the coloring book, is your devotional, is going on podcasts and speaking from an educated point of view, right? So is it fair to say that it is both your path and your passion?
Absolutely, it is. And sometimes it can be so intertwined that I can't tell. I'm working on better being able to decipher where one ends and the other begins, because my occupation is not my identity, but that's also part of my gifting. Like I feel like I have an innate gift from God to be able to see issues, problems, challenges, and think of a plethora of solutions. Like just my ability to be resourceful, but it does.
That's the 30 minutes after the show where you tell us. No, just kidding.
Give us a free therapy session.
Right. Abby's my free therapist.
I called her that on the last show. I was like, because she said something like, "Oh, I'm unbothered. Nothing bothers me." I said, "Girl, as your free therapist, I can tell you are very much not unbothered."
Yikes.
That is not what was said. She's very much paraphrasing, but that's okay.
Oh.
Do you find?
Do you psychoanalyze all your friends?
No,
like, maybe not out loud, but like
no, not out loud. Sometimes I will think to myself, like, come on now, like let's get it together. But I'm actually not a very deep person, which I think that most people would expect me to be super deep, and I am not. I am actually very playful.
I know. I've had
laughter, like I love a good laugh, a good kiki. So I try to be very conscious to maintain my personality outside of my profession. If my friend comes to me, like I do have friends that'll come and say, "Hey, like I need you to put on your therapist hat," because am I giving you a perspective as a friend and I'm giving you advice, or am I putting on my therapist hat? I don't give advice as a therapist. I may have a suggestion for you, but most of the time I'm giving you a lot of different tools and open-ended questions to kind of help you to get to your own solution. Whereas with my friends, I'm like, okay, so but you're doing this, this, and this, and that's not producing the outcome that you want. And so at this point, it's insanity. And so I'm wondering why you're calling me with the same thing after. I can't say that to my client. No, so,
I feel like I have gifts too. I've said these same exact things to friends.
yes.
Really?
I've said that to my client.
Let me pull up my text messages where you said this to me. How many times?
Well, my biggest client, I feel like I've had that conversation with her several times also. So,
or even with my
me?
Yes, you're my biggest client.
You need a sign that says
I can't afford you anymore.
Do you take insurance?
Right, I'm about to start charging, girl. I do want to read some comments because we got some comments throughout this. So Aaliyah said, good morning. Hey girl, good morning. I hope you're still tuning in. This is my girl Brittany. Brittany was in Barbados hanging out with Rihanna. She posted something about American Airlines. We are mad at the airlines this year in 2024. These airlines are acting up. Taylor's joining us. Coach Bree said that we are very demure.
Demurcy.
Terry said, good morning. Good morning, Terry. Good to see you again. Coach Bree. Taylor said, I wanted to be a meteorologist too. And then, Brittany said that your story was scary. You really do need to like make a movie or write a book about that. Like monetize, girl. Like
listen, monetize. I monetize all of my trauma. Someone asked me recently, I literally have. They said, Are you okay? Because you've gone through a lot and you just kind of write books about it. I said, yeah, once you heal, because I understand that unhealed trauma causes secondary wounding. I don't want to be the reason that someone else is wounded. So I heal and then I create, because I'm a firm believer that my testimony also brings healing and freedom to myself. And so every time I share, I'm just like freeing myself from whatever restraints, the byproducts of those situations. So I monetize everything.
Everything, as you should. You are so smart, Stephanie. She's a financial, I don't even know if you said this. I would consider you a financial guru. Guru.
I want her to be my free therapist. Well, okay, not free. I have insurance though.
And then Taylor said,
I'll get you my digits.
She said, I've been feeling so overwhelmed from social media and all the exposure to everything in the world. Maddie said, I had to limit myself with Grey's Anatomy. Binge watching it was making me super depressed and anxious. That is true. Like when there's a long show like that, I find myself getting very emotionally involved. So like if like the main character is going through a depression, I find myself being sad about things. And like, I feel like and because we watch shows, like you can watch a whole series in a very short amount of time, you're going through those emotions so quickly rather than like the once a week and then you detach from it. So
actually, Stephanie, I did want to ask you, you were talking about monetizing, your trauma and all that, which I know we're kind of making light of it. However, TikTok and all the things, there's a lot of that, right? There's a lot of, free therapists out there. Who are maybe not giving great advice, maybe giving good advice. I think it just depends on who it hits and how they take it, right?
Yeah.
Because I've found a lot of helpful things out there that have empowered me to self-awareness or healing journeys and that type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Including other things that you have been involved with. And so I was wondering what your thoughts on that are, especially being that you're sort of involved with that yourself, right? Mm-hmm. On the different podcasts and we're doing it in a sense. Now, we're not trying to be experts. We're giving, Abby and I are giving our experiences and opinions just based on us, right? So, do you think it's dangerous or unethical, or, do you think there's parameters? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I think that it can go both ways. I value that people are able to come on these different platforms and share their experiences. I think that is very helpful, because I think a lot of times people assume that they're the only person going through what they're going through. And that makes it a lot harder to get through what they're going through because they feel so isolated. So I'm thankful that people come on and they share their thoughts and their experiences and their perspectives. What I feel like is more detrimental is I see a lot of people diagnosing themselves based off of someone else's video, and there's not always a lot of empirical data behind what they're saying.
Yeah.
That person doesn't necessarily have the educational background to tell people, like narcissistic personality disorder, that has become a buzzword. This person is a narcissist. This person is a narcissist. Or I have clients come to me and they're like, I watched a TikTok and I know that I have borderline personality disorder. And they're like, I watched the TikTok and I'm depressed and I'm anxious and all of these things. And so I think that it can be detrimental when we just take the advice of people who aren't practitioners or clinicians and we run with it and we self-diagnose. Because you think about it, the moment you put a label on yourself, it makes it really hard to separate yourself or your identity from that condition.
Right.
And so I think that that becomes a little bit more difficult and it can be harmful. But I also think that people need to use discretion when they're on these different platforms and we are listening to people speak. We don't need to take it as the end all be all. We need to take it, dissect it, right? Leave the bones, take the meat.
Yeah.
And I think that we're all kind of learning how to do that. But I do find that there are tremendous benefits to that. But I have also seen it become extremely harmful when people are Googling stuff and then they get online and they're like, if you're struggling with this, this, and this, then this means that you have obsessive compulsive disorder. And, or they say, you know, I had someone ask me recently, they said, I think my child has schizophrenia. I said, and 3, because they said that they heard voices. Well, you hear voices. We don't even diagnose at 3 years old, but now you're calling your baby schizo, but you're
right.
I mean, there's just so many components. Like you can't have bipolar without a manic episode, but people are diagnosing themselves bipolar
because they have some mood swings, you know. And you're right, because that can be so detrimental. Because then
Abigail diagnosed some stuff though.
Well, I went to TikTok University, so as a TikTok University graduate, I feel like I'm qualified, but I don't think
I would tell everybody, you know, I got my PhD.
I have a PhD from YouTube University.
Exactly. I don't even have my bachelor's. I went straight to PhD.
I'm quick.
Do not pass go.
I'm so quick to diagnose somebody. I'm like, oh, they probably have autism, or I'm like, oh, they definitely are struggling with some like mania for sure. I'm like, oh, they definitely have borderline, 100%.
You definitely hit me in like all the spots. Because every time I go to the doctor, I straight up tell the doctor, I'm that chick. I already checked out WebMD. I kind of know what's going on, but I'm also not crazy. So I realize that I don't have testicular cancer. Pretty sure. I just have the symptoms. You know, but also, I have self-diagnosed myself with ADHD.
Okay.
Yes. But she's actually
I'm pretty convinced.
She is actually just telling people, oh, I have ADHD. And I'm like, girl.
No, I always say self-diagnosed because I am making plans to actually, but I have spoken to my primary care. When I first thought I might have it, I had several friends go, well, duh. I'm like, wait, you knew? How come I'm the only one who doesn't know, right? But I've spoken to several primary care doctors who were like, well, yeah, yeah. So, like, okay, seems reasonable. So you're getting there. But on the other hand, and Brother Carter of the Love and Victory show
and Miss Val is watching. She said, I'm really enjoying this show.
Aw, love you, Val. But and Val, but they kind of hyped me, aka us, up too. And Brother Carter had specifically said, just exactly what you said. Like, you're gonna say something, you're gonna touch somebody out there who's going through what you went through.
Yeah.
And just give them peace, give them solace, and do something for them. You're gonna that's y'all's purpose with your cute little show. Yeah. And it made me feel like, okay, like we're doing something.
I will say
besides enriching our relationship.
when
Okay.
it
And
comes,
y'all have a fantastic show. When I am able to tune in, I'm always laughing because the way that you all play off of each other, and you have similar personalities, but very different.
different at the same time.
I'm gonna start seriously like carrying around some sort of webcam because the conversations y'all don't hear.
Oh, the best.
Sometimes they're very funny. Like I wish we would have been recording that, and sometimes I want to.
Oh,
And I'm sure, and it's same.
it's
Yeah.
mutual.
Yeah. I do want to say that I don't think TikTok is ready for Stephanie Burrow to be a TikTok therapist. Like, I really believe, because I work with Stephanie on several different shows, this one, another show, another show, another show. And I will say, Stephanie gets the views. Stephanie gets the views.
Ooh, do they
So,
love me?
and I know, and I even, you had a show briefly that I worked with you on as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, Stephanie, when it is in your path, I think you would be like, you could be like a number one influencer. I really think.
Oh.
I really think.
I need help. Maybe I'll hire you again, Abby. I need help because okay, I do want to stress this before.
Wait a minute, can somebody get us to like 125?
Joan?
We got 123. 123. We need 2 more. I'm baby steps, baby steps.
Y'all are on your way though. And like I said, the show is rich.
Yeah.
But I do want to stress, like, don't take on extra labels. Even with clients who struggle with anxiety, we have named anxiety something completely different, something that they hate. And we don't say, like, I'm anxious.
Right.
We'll say, like, anxiety is bothering me right now. Or I have a client they hated onions. So it was onions moving forward, because if you hate onions, you despise onions, why would you allow onions to be such an intricate, intimate part of your everyday life?
Right. Yeah.
It helps you to see it as separate so that you can fight against it.
Right. And
Anxiety is bothering me. Now I have anxiety.
right.
Pass something out that you've come into agreement with.
And I think too, when it comes to anxiety, I could be speaking incorrectly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie.
You're
but
right. You're right.
I'm always right. Thank you. I actually love that. Thank you so much.
You up. Oh, geez.
So,
no,
anxiety,
a long weekend, Stephanie.
Anxiety is a mental disorder, right? You can be diagnosed with anxiety, yes.
Mhm.
But anxiety is also just a normal emotion that people experience. And I think people are so quick to be, like you said, I have anxiety, and let it take over them instead of, I'm just feeling anxious. We all feel anxious before a big meeting, before an interview, before some sort of performance. We all feel anxiety. And I think sometimes anxiety can be a good feeling.
Well, of course, if you're in danger, my God, I hope that your anxiety is heightened and it tells you, get out of there.
Right. Yeah.
But we've made it a companion in our society where people are bonded through anxiety, through depression, through trauma.
Yeah.
And when it becomes a companion, it becomes a friend, it becomes a comfort. It's a lot more difficult to see how debilitating and detrimental it is to your growth and to the health of the relationships that you have with others and the relationship that you have with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, if you let it take over your personality and who you are as a person, then, then that becomes like your excuse for everything, right? Oh, well, it's because I have anxiety. You're not doing the work to be a better person. You just kind of use it as a crutch instead of using it as fuel to do better and to be better too.
Absolutely. And it's there to serve a purpose. I think remembering that everything is there to serve a purpose. If you're feeling anxious, it's an indicator of something. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling sad, you're feeling hopeless, that's an indicator of something. Depression is a symptom. If you're grieving, depression is a stage.
Yeah.
It's like, so I've, part of my self-diagnosis is that, like, the need to have anxiety to complete something, right? Which I just thought was
procrastinating. You mean?
Yeah, like I know I'm procrastinating. There's a little touch of anxiety about it, but I have to wait until it's fully in force to be like, oh, well, now I have to get this done. And I just thought that was and maybe it is not professionally diagnosed. I just thought it was a lazy personality quirk of mine, due to some of my upbringing. So I was I moved around schools a lot and was put in the gifted program, which they did not have in the area that I lived.
Yeah.
So they kind of just put me to the side with like another kid and gave us completely different learning tools and were, here you go, kids, and ignored us, essentially. So no like learning, no study skills, no anything, right? Sorry. See, I'm getting my free therapy here. I got like 2 minutes. I'm going for it. No, but seriously, I just thought I had poor study habits. And then when I kind of caught up to myself intellectually in high school or whatever, I just did everything at the last minute. And I used that like, I didn't know the word anxiety then, right? I used it like I work best under pressure, right? And just waited till the last minute and nailed it, right? Did well. So then I thought that was a skill, right? If I just left everything for the last minute, I would do well. And not gonna lie, it really worked for me most of my life.
Of course.
But in a career, that does not always work. Still does sometimes.
I will say that gives you like this like feeling, you know how when someone's been through trauma and they say like their body remembers something, like their body has a reaction. I remember it took me after college about, I don't know, because I would also procrastinate. I'm not a school girl. She did graduate. She has a degree. Bachelor's of Science, actually, if you can even believe it.
Love
what I like to say is Abby has BS. You know.
I do. But it took me about 6 months to a year after college to like not wake up in the middle of the night with the feeling that I have something due. And because I was also a procrastinator. So I would often like, I couldn't enjoy being out with friends or doing anything because I'm like, I feel like I have something to do. I feel like I have something to do.
Yeah.
Because I did because I was procrastinating. But then after college, it took a long time for me to stop having that like bodily reaction, like middle of the night. I have a test tomorrow. Like I forgot to study or whatever. So yeah, I think it can be like a habit if your body's used to feeling that. And that's when you feel, when people, I know some people really are night owls. I think they're insane. But the people who like, go and do things to the wee hours of the night, I feel like that's a trauma. There's no way you just want to do that. But I think maybe I'm.
Well, I don't always do it. But like in my mind, I want to get some work stuff done at 10 p.m., 10 to midnight. Yeah. Because I work with like customers who are emailing me or calling me during the day. And it's like, I can not worry about that and do those tasks for 2 hours uninterrupted. Now, at 10 o'clock, I'm tired. I don't want to do it. But I relieve the pressure on myself during the workday of not getting it done by saying I'll do it at 10 p.m.
Right.
Then at 10 p.m. I don't want to do it. And then I stress myself out knowing it's lingering. And I'll go to sleep not well because it's lingering there. It's a vicious dang cycle.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, and it's tough too, because procrastination, there's so many different reasons. Oftentimes why people procrastinate. It could be fear. It could be anxiety. It could be boredom. It could be, struggling with
time management.
That's what I was going to say. Time management. It could be ADHD.
Don't get personal.
I think you have to like for me, whenever I'm like feeling like I'm procrastinating, because my notes will pile up. And then I was
on your phone. You mean the notes app, or
after my sessions?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Just let it go until I have to do it. But what I've started to do is to break big tasks into like 4 quadrants. Or I'll work for 30 minutes without any distractions. Then I treat myself by scrolling on social media, going outside and taking a walk. Sometimes it is just forcing yourself to do it, because you notice you feel so relieved when you accomplish it and when you complete it. Or to just trick my brain into getting into accomplishment mode, I'll just like make my bed in the morning. And my brain is like a little check. You've already accomplished something. So you're on the trajectory to accomplishing that day.
I've noticed these are also ADHD tips and tricks.
Yeah, for your ADHD.
You would like to be, you want a psychological test? I will test you.
There you go, Mom.
Oh, really? My previous therapist said I had to go to a psychiatrist.
Are you a psychiatrist?
No, we do them though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do them.
Stephanie does all. What did I say? She knows everything, does everything, is everything. She got it.
So
I should probably stop self-diagnosing myself.
Yeah, you can if you want to, but I feel
because I procrastinated making the psychiatrist appointment.
No, we can do some psychological testing for ADHD, because I mean those evaluations are long, but they're fairly simple. And then you take that and then you give it to your psychiatrist, and if they want to prescribe you something, they can. We've already done it.
I will call you because I have insurance.
If Stephanie can't do it, nobody can. So sorry.
You
heard it here, folks. We may have a definitive answer after I procrastinate calling Stephanie for a few months.
I have her number. I'll send it right to you.
Oh my God.
Abby's like, my mother needs medication.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not sharing people's phone numbers. I don't do that. But I do want to read some comments. So we have one from Solomon. He said, rather than attribute being and he was talking about the mental health label. Or mental illness label, sorry. Rather than attribute being a part of you, that one attribute defines you and you're more than that. Rather than having it be a part of you, you're making it define you. And Ms. Carter said, thanks so much for speaking on this topic. You're welcome, girl. Love you. Coach B said, without realizing it, we often allow the anxiety, depression to become our identity. I agree. And then Tiara said, period. Period, boo.
Well, also too, like people would wonder why you even need. Like I've lived with this my whole life. What do you need to know whether it is or not? Well, because there's tips and tricks and hacks, right?
Yeah.
And I've gone. If this is true, right? It would just be nice to know that I thought I had weird personality quirks. Nice to know that other people have the same quirks and have mastered it.
Yeah.
And share the knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I do feel like as I get older, and I did speak to a therapist about like, if this is the case, why does it seem so prevalent at 50 years old? You know, and it was just more like the routine of what my life once was has changed. So maybe like, you know, I don't take my kid to school or whatever my routine was at one time has changed so drastically that that was kind of keeping me in line for a long time.
Absolutely.
You know,
the forced routine.
Yeah.
You're forced to have more structure.
Right. I actually physically went to work. Now I work from home. I had a child to take to school. And then not that all those things happened at the same time, but through like now I just do whatever the heck I want. Which is a lot of nothing most days.
Nice.
Okay.
Too much free time.
So it is 12:08. It is about that time.
Okay. Adios.
I was just gonna say, Abby's giving the look. I could see it. I can feel it through the walls.
Well,
me reading the comments was supposed to cue you, Miss ADHD, but it's okay.
Well,
sometimes I all have a little bit of ADHD. I think personally.
You said we all do.
I think a little bit because we multitask so much in our society. We're always doing a million things. I feel like we're wired to have ADHD nowadays more than we are not to.
Oh yeah,
they make it impossible to focus on anything because there's 5 million things going on at once.
Oh, if I'm not doing 5 million things at once, I feel like I'm underproductive. I either do 10 things at once or nothing, and I rot and I lay there, nothing.
Right.
But everybody, make sure to like and subscribe. Like Jennifer said, we have 123 subscribers. Make it 125. But we have some new viewers today. We have subscribe, girl. Hit that like button. Give us a big like. Leave us a comment if you haven't already. Say hello. Tell us you love us and you think we're beautiful because we are.
Say hi to Stephanie.
Say hi to Stephanie. Yes, you can hit her up if you need the best therapist ever. Not even just in Houston. Ever, or a coloring book, or other books, or a bestie. I'm just kidding. I'm not. Now I'm like making.
Actually, don't call Stephanie. Get this coloring book on Amazon. Please go directly to Amazon.
Hit her up on arabellacounts.com. That's Arabella ARABELLACOUNS.com. Right. That's one.
One more L. That's fine.
Sorry. There you go.
That with one more L.
what I just said with one more L.
Yes. I had fun.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
I love y'all. Thank you for having me.
We love you.
Yes, you're gonna come back on for sure. But
Yes.
peace and blessings. Bye.